getting the cold stare in like Desert Palace, and it's like that just goes against all logic of what cold stare is.
I guess it would be hot stare or something like that.
Sandy stare, maybe?
Yeah, that one would work. But let's see. First chest, we got 10 arrows.
Right. So with this being that randomized swords, you know, obviously we're gonna have to have some sort of weapon from our uncle here. You know, personally, what kind of weapon starts do you like to see?
I like to see something like, I mean, typically with it not being Randomizer, I like to see the bow just because of how it opens up Eastern Palace right away, even with the dark rooms. But, you know, like you said, it might not be the same, but we're getting a vanilla sword.
Yeah, I'll take that. You know, one kind of nice thing, you know, with the additional versions of Randomizer that's come out, they have made that sword drop, I think an equal percentage chance of, you know, all the other weapons. I believe before it was like a 2% chance to actually get that vanilla sword, especially during that spring standard tournament. So it's kind of neat to see, you know, it be brought up to speed with everything else.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they considered it a bug or not, but because the tournament had started and everything, they didn't want to throw a change in there. But yeah, it's just this sword on V29 for the standard tournament this spring. It was just, if you saw the sword, it was like almost playing the lottery at that point. It's like, oh wow, a sword.
So basically, randomized sword setting not really going to do anything for us, since for all intents and purposes, it could have been an Uncle Insured sword, and this is just a NMG run with randomized bosses. But, you know, nonetheless, you know, we got also hard mode, so we're not going to be seeing any stun prizes unless we have that hookshot show up fairly early. And then the all 2 standard defeat Ganon, so we're just looking for those 7 crystals to finish the game.
Yep, pendants and potentially Ega 1 don't mean anything, unlike the first seed.
It's quite a big change in pace, you know, going straight from all dungeons inverted right into pretty much a vanilla speedrun of the game, just about. So this will kind of show quite a lot of different skill that our players have, you know, due to the variety of modes, going from, you know, that super hard mode inverted to essentially just a vanilla speedrun.
Yeah, that's what I really like about the fall tournament. You know, I love, you know, last year's fall tournament. That's when I started playing Randomizer myself and catching the first tournament, and then the standards tournament in the spring. But this tournament was just, you know, how you can see so many different things where you can watch all day, and the chance of actually seeing the exact same settings are very slim. But Zelda holding on to some more arrows, so we haven't found anything major inside of the escape yet, and Fantallis does have a bomb drop. So that might be a major thing right there when we get into the back of the escape, if Glan doesn't get one.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how runners approach, you know, getting that bomb in the standard escape. You know, do they, you know, wait and, you know, try to get him from the rats over in the sewer or from the ropes, or do they just like try to kill a bunch of guards at the start and try to get bomb drop? You never know where that bomb is going to show up to the prize packs being randomized as well. But Fantallis doesn't have to worry about that. He's got his 1 bomb. That's all he needs to get to the back of the escape. But it'll be interesting to see what Glan does, especially coming up right here.
Yeah, or if you even see that bomb, because I know some of the races in the spring standard tournament, sad to say that sometimes those races actually came down to that right there. Is one of the races got the bomb early, was able to check the escape, and it was something like the gloves or just some major item, and the other racer just didn't get the bomb and didn't come back there for quite a while and missed that item, and that was kind of the deciding factor. But we'll see if there's anything major back there this seed.
Yeah, it's always a huge risk if you want to roll the dice and, you know, miss an item, or that can lead to gloves or the gloves themselves. You know, I expect, you know, being in this part of the tournament, you know, most runners probably kind of have that knowledge to not take a gamble like that. Won't matter though, because Glan does get a lucky bomb drop off a rat that's in his way, so we will not be skipping the back escape at all.
Yeah, which is important because on hard mode, the drop rates are actually reduced, I believe, to 50% their normal rate. So even less, and we do have some gloves. So the first major item.
Yeah, it's definitely really nice to. And one of my favorite parts about standard is just being able to clear out all of escape right off the bat, especially, you know, giving gloves in a chest like that. Imagine if this was like an open mode, and that's generally a chest you like to leave out a long time. And, you know, if there's something important there like those gloves, you know, that could really hinder a player. So being able to pick standard, and maybe this was fantallis' kind of logic going into this. Like, I don't like thinking about routing an escape. I just want to get it out of the way right away.
Ooh, and back of escape, definitely having some major items. We got an ice rod and our first potion as well.
So just to mention again, since I'm sure this is going to come up many times throughout this run, this is indeed Randomizer, but because we are doing standard mode and we have to go to this first part, Randomizer doesn't currently work with standard mode in the normal sense. So the only thing we will see are those shuffled bosses as opposed to, you know, random enemies everywhere.
I was like, fantallis, skip the chest. I was like, wait, maybe the map was there because I don't remember seeing that, and kind of said no at the end. We got the map check there. Looks like we had one of the 5-6 crystals over on Eastern, and I believe it was Blue Pendant over on Desert Palace with crystal number 7 on Hera.
So a little bit of divergence between both our runners. Glan opted to go ahead and check Lumberjack Ledge to see if Aghanim is required. Definitely a play I'd like to see in a tournament setting, because especially one that's not all dungeons, because, you know, in all dungeons you can just go ahead and kill Aghanim and then just come up here whenever you want, but you don't really need to do that all the time in, you know, just the normal defeat cannon setting. So there's something up here that fantallis has missed. We could see, you know, divergence and routing later on, but with that heart container, I doubt we'll be seeing that Aghanim kill.
Yeah, unless we need it for Dark World access or some other reason. But yeah, I don't think we're going to be killing Ega for a hard container. Even though this is hard mode, we only have, I believe it is 6. I want to say it's 6 hard containers in the pool instead of the 11 I think there normally are.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but I think that is correct. You know, regardless, you have a lot less health than you normally do, so your execution really does shine on hard mode runs, especially, you know, it's something you want to get good at if you go into the bracket 2 where you have expert, which is probably going to be like the standard 2.
Yep, just pulled up, looks like we got sick kit check, we got 20 rupees, but just pulled up the settings just to make sure it is 6 heart pieces and 20 heart containers for hard mode. So yeah, 14 is the max health. Hey, there's the lamp we could never find from seed number 1.
Maybe it was actually there the whole time. I was just waiting for them to get through that first seed to find it.
Yeah, maybe it was, because I guess they did find a fire source there. That's where the fire rod was in game number 1, so they just kind of traded fire sources.
Definitely a blue inventory going on. We got the bomb, ice rod, the mirror that was found in Lost Woods, as well as that blue potion. You know, I'm hoping for a blue mill and a master sword as well in this blind hut.
Yeah, that lamp is just out of place right now. Well, I mean, Titan's Mitts, those have red. Oh, and a cape, but that's red. We're getting all this red. Nope, that's not blue either. That is.
Yeah, blue rupee, the biggest takeaway from Blind's hut, in my opinion. But yeah, those mitts showing up very early. Too bad we don't find them. I'm hoping we do find a moon pearl soon, because it's really cool to see runners being presented with that very early Dark World access. And, you know, if they choose to go straight into a Village of Outcasts from here, or if they end up still checking, you know, these early sphere locations.
Yeah, and Glan's gonna check the well without a bomb. And speaking of the moon pearl, there it is with some silver arrows, which those silver arrows aren't gonna do us a whole lot of good. They only work on Ganon in hard mode.
Well, speaking of commentator's blessing, but I fully expect at least one of our runners to go straight into Dark World from here. You got the mirror, and there you go, Glan making that play. You got the mirror, so you don't have to double back at all. You can go ahead and clear out everything in one go. We'll see if fantallis does that same thing after checking on Blind's hut.
there's our map check. That doesn't surprise me. We see a pendant on Turtle Rock, green pendant on Skullwoods, and I missed D56.
So immediately with the 10-minute Skullwoods entry, it's not very often you see this. I mean, you generally only see it in inverted mode, but you know, the logic or the algorithm tends to favor the putting, you know, progression items in these later spheres. So you definitely want to go into these as early as you can instead of just, you know, checking, you know, these other locations that would probably just have like arrows and rupees instead.
Yeah, definitely. And fantallis is kind of following suit, heading into the Dark World himself. And, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of the runners, if not both of them, decide to go into Thieves Town and go for a full clear on it. You know, they just finished an inverted where they had to kill blind. I think it was with 5 hearts, so they're at 4. So not that much of a difference.
The scariest thing that can happen in this situation is not finding that hammer early and, you know, potentially leaving an item behind over in Thieves Town as a fantallis enters in. You know, it's always obviously, you know, random whether or not there is that item in there, but, you know, should you leave an item behind and you be in yourself, go through the seed and you find yourself just missing like 1 or 2 items for go mode, it just sticks in the back of your mind. Like, is there something that was supposed to be there? Was I supposed to find the hammer at some point? So it's definitely a gamble going into Thieves Town, but it's at this point, I mean, you kind of have to.
Yeah, and then you're especially thinking, it's like, you know, because especially when you're racing, you're always thinking, it's like, okay, I didn't do this or I made this mistake. You always assume that your opponent did not make the same mistake, that they played the seed perfectly. Alright, so I think we found 2 items in the front here of Thieves Town, so 2 in the back, so there's a decent chance that one of those is locked behind the hammer.
Oh, we do find that Book of Endora. We don't know just yet if that's needed for Desert Palace access, just because the flute could possibly be another point of entry. But I definitely like Glan's routing here. You know, take care of the north side of the Dark World. You know, possibly looking for that mirror, or sorry, the hammer. So that way, you know, when you have to go into Thieves Town, you're not having to worry about that one chest. Also, on fantallis side, I'm interested in see why he didn't go straight to the boss instead. You know, we have it. You know, with it being Randomizer, well, pretty much just Bossimizer. Is that what we should call it?
Yeah, we got the new mode, Bossimizer.
You know, with it being Bossimizer, that boss will be there right away. You don't have to worry about, you know, rescuing blind from a cell, because, you know, even if it ends up being a vanilla blindness dungeon, they will be there right away. And, you know, being able to knock that out right away, possibly for a hammer, could help you just go ahead and full clear everything.
Well, that's always nice to see in a hard mode seed. You get the blue mail.
Yeah, you know, being at 4 hearts max right now, that blue mail is just a blessing pretty much to find early on.
Yeah, especially since there is only 1 mail in this seed, so you will not, it doesn't change anything, unlike the swords, where there are still technically 4 swords in the pool, but once you pick up the temperate sword, the other one just changes into, I believe it's just a big 20 at that point.
Not gonna lie, I was a little worried about how he was gonna approach that Zazek. You know, he doesn't have the hammer, doesn't have a hook shot for stunning. But it's good to see him get that quick and easy kill. You know, done. Even if we're not doing true Randomizer right now, you know, dungeons are still pretty terrifying to go through, especially, you know, at this low health. But you really got to kind of, you know, take your time, make sure you're not falling for anything. But ooh, there's that key. Have we found all the dungeon items here?
I think we're looking for an item. So I believe it's based off what blindness is. I don't think we've seen the map. We'll see here, because if fantallis can't kill the boss, I mean, I guess it might not be blind. We're about to find out who it is. It's a moth.
All right, we'll get. This is actually a really nice room to have moth. I mean, any room that doesn't have spikes flying anywhere is generally pretty nice, especially for fighter sword mothia.
Yeah, basically any room that's not Skull Woods. It's like, hey, okay, I can kill this one.
But then you gotta think about what's gonna be in Skull Woods. Is gonna be like Vitreous, which is absolutely terrifying to deal with, especially not being able to use silvers in hard mode. Will be something like Helmsor King. But regardless, we'll think about that later. As fantallis does take down his Mothia fight, gets that map, so we have one more item inside of Thieves Town.
Yep, we are leaving an item behind.
So Glan kind of doing a little bit of backtracking here. Didn't have a bomb for the back of the well, but has a back of the well, but does have a few more locations checked in the overworld over fantallis. Obviously, we're only 16 minutes in, so it's really difficult to say who has a lead at this point. But for all intents and purposes, with Glan having, fantallis having that first crystal, there's a little bit of a lead on his side.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if you saw what was in the Bombable Hut there in Village of Outcasts, but we found a bow.
Yeah, bow's gonna be real nice. So we can get to the boss now in Eastern Palace, and with it being a crystal, I wonder if that will probably be their next play after they clear out everything over to Hype Cave and Mini Moldorm Cave.
Yeah, and I would definitely expect that, especially if we find something like the hammer, because then you could do Pod and Eastern with the mirror as well.
So fantallis making actually really good use of that hint in Thieves Town. I think it said some cash was inside the purple chest. So rather than, most time you would just go ahead and go down to the dig game, then come back up and do this whole sequence. But because you don't have to pick up that purple chest now, you don't have to do that extra backtracking and just go ahead and turn in the smith, do everything over here, and then just go down by yourself over to the dig game itself. So kind of a really nice on-the-fly routing from him.
Yeah, and that question's going to come up for both of these runners. We'll see if Glan decides to complete all of Thieves Town as well, but how long is it going to stay in the back of their mind that there's an item in Thieves Town in that big chest locked behind the hammer?
See, this is very kind of very odd routing you don't normally see, but fantallis remembering, oh wait, I still have to check, library does have dig game as well as race game right here to check at the same time. So it can be pretty easy to forget about these locations. Being in Dark World, you kind of it's easy to turn your mind off and just go through the normal routes.
Yeah, I mean, typically on a normal seed, the chance of having Dark World access leaving Kakariko Village is so small that you already have checked all of this, so you don't even have to think about it. But in this case, we got it before we even left Kakariko Village, so you can kind of route everything together with that mirror.
Well, Glan has to be a little careful. One hit will go ahead and take him down because he did not pick up the blue tunic in the back of Thieves Town. I think he's playing a little bit more safer now, and yeah, he gets that kill too. But yeah, that's a wake-up call. You get touched by Mothia, that's 2 hearts of damage.
Yeah, I think he decided to do opposite of what fantallis did, or did he just not go? Oh, no, he didn't go to the attic at all. That's what it was. Checked everything else, I guess.
He might be wanting to make the play that he doesn't want to go in there until he has that hammer at some point, which we know it's not in there. Whether or not that does play out for him, we'll see, because for all we know, it could just be some money in that Thieves Town big chest. So definitely something you guys want to keep on the back of your mind.
Yeah, but other than that blue mat, we didn't find anything of importance there, so that kind of allowed Glan to, you know, get the gap closed just a little bit if nothing was actually inside of Thieves Town.
So, Fire Rod.
I was gonna say that's actually huge for the fact that I believe we would still need a hammer or a sword upgrade, because I don't think we can fight Trinex with a fighter sword, or not with what else we have, because I believe that would be almost difficult or almost impossible. But it does give us both the items required to kill Trinex if we do run into him now.
It does also open up those 2 chests as well as the boss for Skullwoods. Did we find those 2 items in Skullwoods yet? I wasn't paying attention to Glenn when he was in there.
I don't think we did find both items. I think we're still looking for some items.
So kind of, it'll be, right now, this is going to be really standard routing. You have items to clear out a few dungeons, but after that, if we don't find anything, then as the as the world begins to kind of dry up a bit, that Skullwoods, a pendant dungeon could have stuff. Obviously the big chest in the Thieves Town. But at this point, right now we're just looking at what can I clear out with, what can I clear out that helps me towards that goal of killing Ganon, even if there are no items that I find.
Yeah, and since Glan didn't go to the attic of Thieves Town, he doesn't have the hint about the purple chest. So he's just gonna bring this, and I believe it was just I want to say it was just money, if I remember right.
Yeah, it's just some money, which isn't too important because, fantallis, despite him dodging the 300 rupees over at the race game, he did find a sizable amount of money over in Hype Cave. So we have that Zora money already. Pretty much don't need to pick up anything else, even if you're going to buy, a lot of potions.
I think that was a purposeful mirror bonk just so he could pick up that heart container. Normally, if it was normal mode, I think he would probably skip that, but hard mode, you see a heart container, you typically don't skip that.
Yeah, early on, those heart containers are definitely valuable, and it's worth taking a little bit of extra time to go for them, because you never know when you're gonna, if you're gonna find any more. But we're just gonna go ahead and continue on with our kind of early game checks, and then most likely be making our way over to Eastern Palace really soon. So just as I expected to, not really. I don't think we're going to find anything of value in these early game checks. Given that Dark World access right out the start, it really takes away from going to Mini Moldorm Cave, Ice Rod Cave, I don't know what else, Eastern Palace. So I really don't think we're going to find anything much. Maybe like one extra item, but just mostly it's going to be like rupees and arrows.
Well, I think we're going to have to find something in one of those early locations, because at this point, our Dark World is pretty much exhausted at this point. So we're looking at, the only kind of checks that were outside of the first sphere at this point. And only Glan can do it because he got that book from Bumper Cave, which he might be doing after this, is that book.
Right. We also have a few items up in Death Mountain. We do have access to go ahead and finish everything on the left side, including Hera. So if we're looking at a little bit later in the fill logic, then there could be something up there. Glenn getting that nice knowledge that there's nothing on Bombo's talent, something that fantallis unfortunately is not going to be able to see, but I don't think he's going to go that way until he does make his way up to Skullwoods and find the book over on Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, and I mean, it might be a while for them to even go back to Skullwoods, because it is a pendant. It is the green pendant, but other than that, there's nothing really, pushing them back. But those early game checks that we said there might not be anything. Glan finds a hammer.
Yeah, let me just go ahead and eat my words for a second, because wow, what a location that, with that Dark World being accessible so early, to find the hammer in Agina is pretty surprising, because, how often are you going to go to Agina when you get, so much available right at the start? So finding that book early on and having, even though Desert is not technically a required dungeon, really kind of pointing Glan in the right direction. And that's going to help him too when he eventually goes back to Thieves Town, if he does, because then he can go ahead and clear out the attic as well as that big chest at the bottom in one go.
Yeah, and another big thing it does is, we were talking about Death Mountain and how, Hera was accessible. That hammer gives us access to Eastern Death Mountain. And a Master Sword.
Oh, real good find, and that could be something that is, needed if we don't find another sword upgrade, given that, it's probably a little bit more difficult to find them. So fantallis, kind of interesting story between the two runners. We have Glan making these kind of, risky plays, not going to the places that he can clear out for sure, but having it pay out for him, while fantallis kind of following the logic a little bit more closely and not finding as much as a Glan.
Yeah, and fantallis, with that bow in hand, we can at least get to the boss of Eastern Palace at this point. We'll see what it ends up being. There's only a couple bosses at this point that we can't actually kill if it shows up.
So Boomerang not going to do anything for us except just picking up faraway items and knocking those switches, since we don't have any stun available unless you have the hook shot.
Yeah, and I guess the table, I'll have to talk to one of the devs, but it looks like the table that we have on the randomizer site might be a bit off, because according to that table, it says there's only one male that's in the pool. But Glan picked up blue male in the dam, and we already saw that blue male in Thieves Town.
Yeah, maybe we're just incorrect, and maybe there is still those 3 males, but once you find that second one, or that first one, I mean, then it just gets turned into a rupee instead. So that could be something I just was not familiar with. Granted, it's not something you really, pay attention to, because at this point, mail is just kind of a nice luxury item to find. But it could be something I was incorrect about.
Yeah, as I was just kind of going off the actual table. The table says there's actually only one in the pool, whereas there's actually like 4 swords. So, from what I would gather there, that there'd actually only be one location that there's a male upgrade, but apparently not.
Well, all in all, that's going to be a good find for Glan, because more than likely he's not going to make his way back to Thieves Town for quite some time. And having that blue mail for whatever dungeons he decides to do before Thieves Town will be definitely a little bit nicer for him.
Yeah, like I said, you're going to find blue mail in hard mode. You're never going to argue about that.
Oh, oops. fantallis running straight past that hint. Maybe there's just something he likes to, check on the way back, but still kind of risky, because, you don't... I'd rather just check it right off the bat and not run the risk of running past it a second time by accident. Meanwhile, Glan definitely in a lot better spot right now with that hammer. He'll be able to go ahead and clear out both pod, as well as Eastern. Well, assuming the bosses there, are killable with whatever items we have at that point, we'll be able to clear out both of them. As opposed to Fantallis, we'll have to find that hammer over in Agina much later on.
Yeah, and as far as bosses, with the hammer especially, we had the Master Sword. Really, the only boss that we can't kill at this point is Argus. Every other boss is killable.
And there's a hint we don't see very often at all. A unique item is in King's Tomb. It could mean quite a lot of things, but if we find those boots early, I have to expect that Fantallis will be making his way over there as soon as possible. And if he does do that, that will be leading him in that right direction of finding the book, and then possibly down to Agina to find that hammer as well.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so we are approaching that mystery boss in Eastern Palace. What do you guys think is going to be in chat? Do you think we're going to be blessed with just that Armos, or is it going to be something ridiculous like a Trinex?
Well,
I'm sorry. that's not a killable boss, because we only have that fighter sword.
Yeah, for Fantallis, that is not a killable boss, but if Glan makes his way back there, that is a killable boss.
Yeah, I just had to say Trinex. So, okay, so for the rest of the bosses, they're all going to be just Moldorms, just to make this a little bit easier for them.
Gilgatex, they both have silver arrows, I believe. They picked them up. This is hard mode, however. These silver arrows will not activate until they're in Ganon's room. These silver arrows only work in Ganon.
Yeah, so it just does not even show up, because technically you can't even toggle them until you get to that fight. Kind of the same thing in Retro, I believe. If you pick up the silvers, but you have just the wooden arrows, it still just shows up as only having the normal arrows.
Yes. Koi Stream, Trinex for Fantallis is not killable. You cannot actually deal damage to Trinex with Fighter Sword.
Right, I believe even with the spins, it just pretty much does nothing to him. Kind of an unfortunate part of having, a super late game boss in the very first dungeon of the game is that, the game doesn't expect you to have at least a Master Sword at that point. So all the other bosses kind of have that luxury if you use those Fighter Sword spins, but Trinex is no-go.
Yeah, and with the limited magic, I think they have a blue potion, but even then you're having to do Fighter Sword spins. That's what I want to say, 8 spins per head.
Yeah, and you're really running that risk that you don't know if you're going to be able to kill him or not. So Fantallis showing us that Death Mountain play, the most logical play for him to make at this point, due to not having the hammer. We're going to go ahead and do that. Oh, just barely missed that bomb jump. Just went a little bit too further into the pit. But the kind of a cool bomb jump, you can just do it right there and just go right back outside of Spectacle Rock. Meanwhile, Glan making his way over into Palace of Darkness. This is definitely a lot nicer routing for him, with that hammer. Having the Master Sword as well. So, assuming it's not Argus on this boss, then that'll be 2 additional crystals for him.
Yeah, unless we find that hook shot. Second blue potion there, thinking about Trinex, you probably could go back there and take him out with Fighter Sword, but it's still not a fight you're going to want to do. More than likely you're going to have some kind of weapon upgrade before having to do that. But in the first room in Hera, we find some boots.
So there's that, that King's Tomb hint coming into play, probably later on after this. We know there's a unique item in there. It could be, it could be Hookshot, Arcana Samaria. Fantallis probably hoping for a hammer there, but we already know that's not going to happen, unfortunately.
Yep, unfortunately not a hammer, and he probably wants that. He probably is hoping to find a hammer or hookshot here in Hera, just so he can check the east side of Death Mountain while he's there.
So I'm thinking Fantallis should probably go to the next room. And he does. Wow, Fantallis really following those hints really well.
We don't want to see that small key in Hera, though. We might have to take an optional trip even to the basement.
Right. I think at this point, Fantallis does not take that risk, looking for more progression and just leave it behind over in Thieves Town. I can get, or in the basement of Hera, I could definitely agree with the play that of not going to Skullwoods early on, but, to leave behind a potential item in Hera, it's way riskier.
Well, I mean, you said you wanted to give him easier bosses after giving him that Trinex, so, a Mothula is pretty easy.
Yeah, Mothula in any room except Mothula's room is actually really simple to kill. Fantallis does pick up his second item, so thankfully that he will not have to take that short break downstairs.
Yep, and we'll pick up his second crystal, and we're about to see who the boss of Palace of Darkness is on Glan's side.
Oh, that's an unkillable boss as well.
Yep, the one boss that we cannot kill right now.
Alright, so Fantallis looks like he's going to be setting up for this North World check and combining both Light World and Dark World with that mirror. But I have to say, what is he doing right now? Okay, he's kind of thinking about what his options are. Definitely the right option is to go up there. I didn't know if maybe he thought he picked up a flute by accident. But going to Skullwoods and eventually going, to the right over to the graveyard as well is where he wants to be.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to head to Skullwoods first, though, which, not a bad play. We've got the green pendant here, and I believe we're still looking for at least one item here as well.
And you are always running that risk of, it being a dungeon that isn't required. The green pendant does give a little bit more value to it, especially if you have to go back over to, that eastern side of Hyrule, because you can just chain that turn in with that. So it'll be interesting to see how far he goes into this dungeon, if he ends up wanting to kill the boss and not take that risk, or if he leaves it behind.
Okay, so Quake was one of our items. Yeah, so there isn't actually, it is a double header. This isn't actually a bracket match or anything like that. We're still in the group stages. As far as their personal record against each other during the group stage that we're in right now, Glan has won 1-0. That was the race we saw earlier. Ooh, Fantallis just barely got that statue high enough before the Gibdo would have come after him.
Yeah, it's a real tricky room to do. Not being able to stun anything. You really have to be on point with your movement, how fast you can, get that statue over there, because those Gibdos are absolutely ruthless and will take quite a lot of damage off you. But Fantallis, yeah, he's making use of that fire rod that Glan didn't have. Gonna go straight to the back of Skullwoods. Whether or not he kills the boss there, has yet to be said, but he's definitely looking for an item back here.
Yeah, looking for one item. We'll see if we find it. And the more important question, are we going to be able to kill the boss?
So making the smart decision to go ahead and just pick up as much extra health as you can get. You never know what could possibly show up, in these rooms. Hopefully it's not another Trinex, because it would just make this entire play completely just a time waste for him, since we already know that he doesn't want to, risk using those 2 blue potions.
Well, yeah, and even with Fighter Sword, those blue potions on hard mode are only going to give him half his magic, so he's looking right now at 10 shots of his rods with a Fighter Sword to be able to take down Trinex.
Oh, all right. Well, we have an Argus Bossomizer seed happening everywhere, it seems.
Argus everywhere.
So Glan enters his Trinex fight, gonna obviously be able to clear it using those hammer strats. Also has a blue potion, just as a bit of a backup as well. But with the hammer, just a little bit of practice to get it is not too hard.
Yep, and that is the first head down.
Now, does the ice just not work in this room, or is it by standing in the ice just didn't cause it to spawn? I've never seen that before.
I haven't either. I'm gonna go with the fact that I think it just doesn't work in the room. But Glan does take down Trinex in Eastern Palace.
He's gonna get rewarded with his flippers. Wow.
Ooh.
That's a real interesting find, because we're just constantly thinking about that hook shot, but flippers does give us access technically to Ice Palace, possibly to the boss, assuming key logic does work out. And then, it gives us access to a few chests over in Swamp Palace as well.
Yeah, that I guess that could be kind of one of the worst things for Fantallis at this point. It would be like a vanilla hook shot.
So both runners kind of taking wildly different routes, primarily due to Fantallis not coming up here right away and Glan making that play to pick up the book right away. So it's really kind of hard to say, who really has the lead. Both of them are tied in crystals. But, Glan does have that luxury of not having a little bit more backtracking that we know Fantallis is going to have to do.
Yeah, and I think the big one right now, if I had to say who was in the lead, would be Glan, just because of that hammer. Fantallis is running out of locations to actually look, and that book hopefully is going to push him to Desert Palace now.
So more fetch quests. And that could be a mushroom too in King's Tomb, which gives us 2 more fetch quests, and that's something that a runner never wants to see in a tournament setting.
Well, I mean, I guess chat's going to say they deserve it, because I don't think they had any fetch quests in Game 1, so they got to have all the fetch quests now. Just some bombs, which I believe we saw earlier on Glan's side.
Yeah, but here is that unique item hint that we got over in Eastern Palace. Could be, you know, hopefully that hook shot. That's definitely probably not the best thing we want to see, because I could put fantallis going back up to Eastern Death Mountain and further away from that hammer.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't unlock a whole lot outside of Death Mountain, though, so it wouldn't be too much of a check, and Glan's going to have to check this anyways, but it wasn't. And I guess I thought I saw it in pod, but it didn't get marked, so I wasn't sure, but it looks like Glan actually did get the mushroom, and it looked like that might have been in, I believe I saw it in Palace of Darkness, but I see it in his item screen, so I got it somewhere.
Yeah, it had to be a pod, because I believe that's the only location. I know we didn't see it in Desert Palace for sure, so that's the only location that I know that we've seen Glan go to. That maybe we were kind of focused on fantallis at that time.
Yep, and fantallis is checking the desert area, sees a shield. He's going to head right into Desert Palace, so hopefully he remembers when he's done here, he needs to check Egg in his cave, because that's where some progression is. But we are going to get some information on Fantallis' side once he gets all the way to the back of Desert Palace, because we don't know what the boss is here yet either.
Right, and given that he did dive all the way to the back of Skullwoods, I fully expect him to just go ahead and try to full clear this if possible.
Yeah, definitely.
So right now, as the boss table goes, we have Trinex in Eastern Palace, we have Argus and Argus in Skullwoods and Palace of Darkness. We don't know just yet what's in Swamp, Ice Palace, and Mire, which are our remaining crystals. Most likely, I think we're not going to see a kill on that Argus in Skullwoods, because I'm kind of just rolling the numbers that, you know, hookshot, with the hookshot showing up eventually, that there's not going to be any progression on Skullwoods. But I think hookshot is the only item we really need right now to ensure that we can kill all the remainder of the bosses that show up.
Yep, that's correct. The only one we can't kill right now is Argus, because we can't hookshot those puffs away.
Unfortunately, fantallis forgets that, you know, when you do go back outside, those statue heads do reset their position. So in order to get out of Desert Palace, you have to take one of these side exits. We'll put him right back at Agina, which is good because that's where exactly he needs to be. But unfortunately, just a little bit more backtracking that is kind of widening that gap between fantallis and Glan.
Yeah, but fantallis is making the play with that hammer. Okay, so that's interesting to note, though. So Glan did clear out Hera, got all the items. He decided not to check Eastern Death Mountain, though.
Yeah, really risky play. There's a ton of items, even without that hookshot on Eastern Death Mountain. And you also get that knowledge of, you know, what medallion is required for Turtle Rock. Even if it's not a required dungeon as of right now, we have no idea whether or not we'll have to dive inside of it to possibly find, you know, a hookshot if we find Canis Maria.
Yeah, and it looks like Fantallis is, with the hammer, is going to make his way back to the pod eastern area, which, you know, I'm guessing while he's here, he'll probably take down Trinex in Eastern Palace, but he's going to be disappointed when he gets to the back of pod and finds Argus waiting for him. Yeah, so a question in chat about the bosses and how they're randomized. There are multiple levels of how the bosses can be randomized. This is using the Chaos Shuffle, so technically there could be Trinex at the end of every dungeon if you really want to be that mean to one of the racers.
And that does extend to Ganon's Tower as well. We can see, you know, any number of bosses at the places that the Light World bosses normally are at. So, you know, even if, you know, we finish all these dungeons, we still have a few more surprises left when we get to that point of this race.
Yeah, and the scariest part is if that big key is a vanilla big key or typically torch or tile room, because then you have to fight some unknown boss on ice, and usually it's not as easy as fighting something like the Armos on ice.
So there we go, Glan making his way back up to Death Mountain. I don't know if he maybe just wanted to gamble on that mushroom first before, you know, coming up here. Because, you know, it's a little bit of a time sink, you know, going up here to, just trying to get up here to check all these items. Because if Hookshot had been over in the Witch's Hut, that would have been a real nice find for him, having to just avoid this area for quite some time.
Yeah, and he also checked the Boots location the way he was at it too. Spiral Cave just giving us a piece of heart though.
Unfortunately, we do have plenty of other locations checked, so just finding that piece of heart, not too much of a letdown.
Yeah, with the boots, we've got, I think, let's see, we got 7 here, 1 in the Hookshot Cave, 2 in Super Bunny Cave, 11 with the floating island at this point, because I don't believe the floating island was checked. Red potion, another piece of heart in the first 2 chests of the Paradox Cave.
A lot of money coming out, surprisingly.
More money, the Tempered Sword. So Tempered Sword, the major thing out of Paradox Cave.
So just 3 locations left. I have to wonder if Cadence Mario shows up, and we have the medallion for T-Rock. Does Glan make that play?
That would be an interesting one to say the least if it happens. Super Bunny Cave just holding more rupees though. We have a rupee mine in Death Mountain.
I mean, I thought we were playing Link to the Past, not a Link Between Worlds, where there's just like a plethora of rupees, you know, over in this area instead.
The game didn't get the memo, apparently.
Glan making his play over to Spike Cave. Not going to go ahead and check T-Rock, which is perfectly fine. You know, you got the Cane of Samaria at that point. The medallion, you know, what medallion is required doesn't really do much, but, you know, one more location with that Cane of Berna, you know, this could be, you know, quite, you know, another one of those random locations that, you know, fantallis won't make his way back if the hookshot ends up being here.
Yeah, but just 10 arrows though, so Death Mountain, with all of those items that were available, there was actually nothing up there. Unless something's hiding in Turtle Rock, but we need a Canyon Samari before we can do anything with it.
Glan kind of thinking about what he wants to do. I think he's... I actually don't know where he's going right now. Oh, he does have the flippers, so he's going to make those play over to the Zora area. I was thinking maybe he was going to do that dive into swamp, hoping to find, you know, the hook shot in there, but we didn't see fantallis go all the way into Zora's domain. He just checked the waterfall chest, so whatever is up there, you know, just more locations for us to figure out.
Yeah, and I guess the interesting thing would be is they do have access to Ice Palace, or, you know, Glan does at the very least with the flippers. It would be interesting to see if you would make the call on Ice Palace, because you technically could full clear it with the bomb jump and everything like that, because, you know, potentially the dungeon's either hookshot locked or Samaria locked, but with the bomb jump you can kind of get past both of those.
Right, and it's always a hard gamble because you never want to have to dive Ice Palace more than one time, but, you know, could be, you know, something in there, that hook shot that's needed to progress further in the seed. And, you know, having this situation, having the hook shot be between either Swamp Palace or Ice Palace, it's not a good situation to be in.
Yeah, fantallis picks up that magic just in case, but finds out, oh, it's an Argus again. I can't do this.
And also, just to point out, we do have that big chest in Thief Sound.
That is true. What if the hookshot's been hiding there all along? Oh.
And we do find our final medallion, at least, you know, with how many hard decisions they have to make. They don't have to gamble on, you know, what medallion is on Meyer because, you know, we have all three of them.
Yep, no more gambling on those. You've got the medallion, you can go in. Once we find a flute.
This does look like an Ice Palace play. Most runners would go ahead and save and quit, but if he's going straight into Ice Palace, it makes sense to just run straight down.
And, you know, I think, you know, paying attention to kind of where he has left to go, I think really he's either down to Swamp Palace or Ice Palace for locations on his side. So, you know, making the decision of going to a dungeon you can full clear. Plus, it does have 3 hints that might give you some insight as to potentially, you know, what's on left side swamp, everything like that. Bit of a little, maybe that kind of idea. I can full clear this dungeon, the other dungeon. If I don't find a hook shot, I gotta come back.
And once fantallis clears Eastern Palace, I believe we'll be pretty close to one another. If fantallis decides to maybe just go straight into Ice Palace as opposed to checking out the rest of Death Mountain.
Yeah, if he would make that decision, or we haven't had a check on the shovel yet. You know, we could have a check on the shovel. Neither runner's done that. That would kind of be the big one that neither runner has done.
Alright, Glan, looks like he is going to be making that Ice Palace bomb jump. Just going to go ahead and clear out Ice Palace. Hope that the hook shot is not possibly in that that tea room if he decides to skip it.
Alright, fantallis does get the second neck of Trinex down.
Yeah, at this point it's super easy. You know, the biggest concern of phase 1 is just, do I have enough magic to do this? Phase 2 is just, okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and dodge the snake and get these hammer hits in.
And he is awarded with his crystal and his flippers. So now both runners have cleared the same dungeons, but Glan is in a dungeon that he will get another crystal from.
And he did not get the small key from that first chest, so unless he wants to do those bomb jumps in the back, which we already know, oh, looks like he actually is going to go for that. And you can still find the Kina Samaria back here too. But I believe that technically within logic, this is hookshot locked.
A unique item is in Blind's hideout.
So
the mail wouldn't be included in that. Oh my god, there's a unique item in the chest.
We still need flute. We still need Kina Samaria. Still need hookshot. But it could also mean powder. It could mean bug net.
It could also mean the single arrow.
Oh, the infamous single arrow. I would hate to, get a hit like that, and then go into Thieves Town hoping that, the item I need is back there just to find that single arrow.
Yeah, that would be the worst feeling, but Glan hasn't checked the rest of Thieves Town if I'm not considered. Or did that say Blind's Hideout or did that say Thieves Town?
Oh wait, now I don't know. Is that Blind's Hideout? I really don't know at this point. I thought it was just like Blind's Hut was the Kakariko one. Alright, someone please pull out your Prima Games Link to the Past, strategy guide and find out what the official name.
Okay, it said Blind Hut's Hideout. So if that's the case, then yeah, that would actually be the hut then. So never mind then. Darn.
Well, hey, even as a commentator, I learned something new because I would have taken that as just another name for Thieves Town, but I guess the developers are definitely smart enough to know, hey, this could be confused as Thieves Town. Let's just go ahead and make sure it's not obscure at all. Alright, Argus, show yourself an ice palace. We already know you're going to be back here.
Well, we're about to find out.
Oh my god.
I don't know if we should allow you to say what bosses are going on anymore, because you're being mean to the runners.
Well, it's been a real pleasure commentating my first and last Randomizer seed. So that's 3 Argus spawns that we found.
With no hookshot. Now that we had the hookshot, it wouldn't be so bad, but it's like, hey, here's Argus. You don't have a hookshot. Okay, I'll keep going. Here's some more with no hookshot. That's just terrible. The one boss we can't kill and it just keeps showing up.
We know for sure Ice Palace is indeed hookshot locked. Thanks to Mr. pointing that out.
So Glan might have taken that hint kind of the same way that we thought, because he did immediately be like, I'm going to Thieves Town.
That's true. I mean, you were mentioning too, like he just went straight to the boss too, so there's a little bit more value than just checking that one item. But when comparing, this toward, like Swamp Palace, it's really hard to make that call.
Yeah, but if there is something in that big chest, though.
Yeah, fantallis will not be making his way back here anytime soon.
But if he doesn't find anything here, I think at that point he's got to check Shovel and Swamp Palace, I think, is all Glan has left at that point.
Yeah, it's just not a great situation to be in. You know, ideal randomizer seed has all the dungeons kind of in a line through the dungeon progression. You know, you never want to have to go in a dungeon with the thought that I can't clear it. And to have this situation where there's 3 dungeons that could have this item, you know, trying to make that, I don't even know if there's really a right decision to make. It's just like, you know, what could I possibly clear faster versus, you know, what makes more sense.
Yeah. Yeah, Chet kind of, you know, we aren't really looking for that many items. You look at the tracker, we've clicked pretty much all the buttons we can for items. There's only a few left. As far as pedestal, the only thing that could be on the pedestal at this point is either the flute or the powder that would lead to the flute.
All right, here's that moment, you know, nearly an hour ago. You know, do we have an item here, or is it just going to be a bust?
Oh, moment of truth. Oh, just some bombs.
That's a good find for Fantallis, because we know that he's not going there anytime soon. So Swamp Palace, I guess. Swamp Palace is the ideal play to make right now.
Oh, I forgot about hammer pick. This hasn't been checked.
Oh, that is true. I'm surprised. Oh, you know. Yeah, I'm surprised Fantallis hasn't maybe tried that out, even like before going up the Death Mountain. Yeah,
Fantallis is making the play in the Ice Palace himself. Glan kind of thought about it's like green potion. You know, it's hard mode. Yeah, why not? But yeah, we were gonna see a show. Oh my god, we could see a vanilla flute maybe. Looks like Glan's gonna make the play to Skull Woods though, so he's gonna find another Argus waiting for him.
And it could be a required Argus if we find the hook shot at some point and Green Bandit turn in leads Zakina Samaria. You know, this is I keep talking about how this is like a really crappy situation to be in for our runners, but you know, from our end, it makes for a really exciting race.
Yeah, at this point, Glan's just kind of doing all the checks that Fantallis has done. Fantallis is going through Ice Palace, which Glan hasn't, you know, Glan's already cleared. Getting to the point where it's about even again. Oh, chat bringing up a point. We'll see if Glan decides to do it. When he leaves, he will have the mirror equipped. We could get a possible pedestal check.
Yeah, you know, Fantallis, you know, picked the seed, you know, wanting it to just be, you know, defeat Ganon, that's it, but this could very well turn into all dungeons.
I heard you wanted to avoid all dungeons, so we're going to give you all dungeons.
With Vargas on every other, you know, pendant dungeon as well.
Yeah, and, you know, hookshot just nowhere to be found. Let's see, he's thinking. Still has the mirror out. Will we get a ped check? It looks like we are.
Alright, give me that flute. I don't even know what the hint is, but...
I want to see powder, actually. Oh, no.
Oh, man. Sure, that's still good for Fantallis, but that would have been really exciting to see that. there. Fantallis trying to line up that bomb jump a little bit more tricky to get. It's a very precise pixel location you have to be at on the y-axis, so and anything below that, you know, just knocks you into the pit. But it's really valuable to have in these situations where you can, in his mind, potentially clear out Ice Palace and not have to come back.
Bang, Glan making the play. Still has not checked that shovel location, but we're going into Swamp Palace.
Oh wait, no, he heard you.
It's like, wait, I'm checking this before I dive into a hookshot-less Swamp Palace. No, I will check this one-off location.
So Glan confirmed, you know, being able to listen to the restream 20 minutes in the future. I don't know if that's allowed in this tournament, but you know, I think we need to add a rule to that.
Well, you know, it was a blue item. I was kind of hoping for a vanilla flute, but it was blue. Just it makes no cool noise. Just a jingling in a pocket.
So Swamp Palace is gonna have something for us. It may not necessarily be that hookshot. It can definitely be a flute that leads us to the hookshot at some point. Because as far as I know, we've cleared out every other location. Just bringing up my own tracker, I don't think there's anything else we have. Actually, no, we have not seen a catfish, I believe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think we have seen catfish.
But still, Swamp Palace, the better play to make. You know, you have a little bit more locations to pick, and if you chose right and the hookshot is in here, then you're just going right through the end of the dungeon.
We found out what was in the basement of Hera that we left behind. We knew it was just a dungeon item, and it looks like it's the compass.
We did check the pyramid. I know Glenn had made his way over there after Hype Cave. I don't remember exactly what it was, but nonetheless, it wasn't something that would help us.
Ooh,
wow.
Mario.
Oof.
So that opens up Turtle Rock.
All right, Fantallis, so for when you watch back this seed, I'm sorry. I'm just going to say that in advance. I would like to think that kind of moment of hesitation to pull out the mirror was just like a WTF moment.
Yeah, like seriously, like Argus? Again? Really?
Now, there can't be Argus in Swamp Palace. Like, there's no way Argus will show up here.
Oh, there's 100% chance Argus will show up here, because there won't be hookshot either. And we'll need the hookshot, and Argus will be hiding back there anyways. It's like, ha, I was here all along. I know you've met my 3 brothers.
Big key. So, possibly that vanilla big chest.
I was wondering, like, he's just running right by. Okay, never mind. I was like, why aren't you checking the chest before going left side?
Yeah, I mean, he still needs to find the flute, so, you know, even if you find the hook shot there, then, you know, you're still not technically in go mode. But, you know, personally, I would probably be running that risk. I would go ahead and clear out the back of Swamp Palace if I found the hook shot there, and hope to find the flute back there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crystal, so you're going to have to clear it anyways. But, yeah, it's strange that for some reason, you know, he just decided to... Hopefully he goes and checks it, because potentially, you know, if you find the hook shot on left side, or like the flute, and you just leave, and the hook shot's in its, you know, technically like the worst place in Randomizer in its vanilla location. It's like, when are you're going to check everything at that point? You're going to full clear Turtle Rock, you're going to full clear Misery Mire. Hopefully, because, you know, there's probably Argus waiting at the end of both of those.
Oh, I thought fantallis was going to go ahead and make that play back to swamp, but he's kind of thinking about it. All right, cool. Looks like he is. So this will work out for him because when he finds that Cane of Samaria, he can go ahead and chain, you know, all those Death Mountain checks with entering T-Rock if that's what's kind of the requirement.
All right, first chest, 5 rupees. We gotta climb back up.
Oh my goodness, another. If we found the flute here and there's another Argus and Meyer would be probably the greatest thing to ever happen in this race or in this tournament.
I think at that point both runners would be like, I'm never playing Randomizer again. Piece of... Oh, he is leaving that... Oh, wait. Okay, he's mirroring. Don't. What do you do? Nope. He... Oh, wait. He left that... I mean, somebody said we might have gotten a hint, but I don't remember there being a hint for the big chest of swamp.
Yeah, it's just, you know, check that big chest while you're right there, because if you don't have the hook shot, then cool, you just get out like you just did, but that you never want to do. It's not even really that much of a time loss if it is even a time loss.
Well, I mean, at that point where he found the big key, he ran by that chest, you know, 3-4 times. I mean, it was not a time loss at all to check that chest. Fantallis picking up his Bombos medallion from Zora. I guess Glan's going back into desert, and we know we found both the items, I believe, on Fantallis' side. That's why he didn't go back to the Land Molus and clear it out.
Yeah, so we'll never know if there's another Argus hiding out in Desert Palace. But Fantallis, you know, this could be that play that, you know, brings him, you know, back into this race. If he does not put aside that big chest and finds the hookshot there, that's huge for him.
I mean, hookshot or flute, either one of those items are huge because Glan's not going to go back to check those. I mean, I don't know why you would go, but that would probably be the last. If you're gambling that there's nothing in that chest, you're going to leave that for like the absolute last place that there's something hiding.
I do like this play though, so regardless of what play he makes here, Catfish or Swamp, it's still going to be just a good position for him since, you know, Glan is spending his time here over in Desert Palace instead.
Oh, okay. Apparently, Fantallis decided to skip an item on Land Molus, so we are going to see what Landmo is. Argus.
Yeah, it's just, let's just go ahead and rip off the band-aid. It's going to be Argus.
All bosses that we have not seen from now on this seed are Argus until proven otherwise.
Yeah, thank you, chat, for, you know, joining us on this Thanksgiving seed or this Thanksgiving day. You know, for this brand new debut of this mode called Argusmizer. Every enemy is actually just Argus.
Argus must have been jealous because we're eating all the turkeys, and he was like, "Why aren't you going after squids? Like, you got something against squids? Well, I'm gonna show you the real power of squids then."
Oh, just that 10 arrows. So, still, this hookshot just eluding us.
I really feel like Turtle Rock is the play right now with that. If we don't find anything here, I mean, then we absolutely know at that point, but it feels like it is unless we find something in that big chest, which looks like that's where Fantallis is heading. But looks like that doesn't look like an Argus. King Helmasaur, go away. You're the wrong boss.
No, that's definitely Argus. He just has a mask on. You just don't know who's behind him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, now it's Helmasaur King. I can definitely see it. You know, for just the sake of a good race, I really hope Hookshot is in Swamp Palace, but let's see. It's just 3 bombs, unfortunately, in Desert. Alright, well, it looks like we do have a few kinks still left in Argus Miser mode, unfortunately. I'll go ahead and talk to the devs after this, but until then, it's not a guarantee that everything is indeed Argus. But Glan making his way up to T-Brock, with that King of Samaria. Sound like a broken record now. Is the hookshot going to be in Turtle Rock?
Yeah, I mean, something's got to be in Turtle Rock unless we find like hookshot or flute in that big chest, and that would be the absolute worst thing for Glan.
Fortunately, though, I think fantallis does make that play immediately up to T-Rock after this if the hookshot does not end up being here, or the flute.
Yeah, I think the same. I bet a nice cup of tea would help. I mean, it might help these racers after having to deal with so many Argus.
Yeah, it's, when I get presented with that many Arguses, or that many Argi, nothing like a nice cup of tea. Much better than having something like beans on toast. That just sounds miserable.
Okay, so fantallis also not checking the chest right away either.
Aha, but oh, no, come on, just please check the chest. It's
Why?
right there.
Stop teasing us. Wait, we figured out fantallis was listening to us, right? And that, he could hear us from 20 minutes in the future, so he's just teasing us for entertainment value.
Oh my god, please. Why? This is 100% something I can't understand.
Yeah.
Unless
There's no way this is getting chest.
Yeah, because I 100% regarding this one big chest. Are we back, or is it? Are we still being under attack by Argus?
You sound good to me now. You sound like a robot, and I probably did too. So.
All right, Argus says, sees this attack on Discord servers, has Glan makes his way through Turtle Rock, and still looking for that hookshot.
Argus has become too powerful. He's attacking Discord and everywhere now.
I mean, it sounds like a pretty good plot for a new Terminator movie, except instead of Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's just Argus coming back in time to kill John Connors.
I mean, that sounds like a great movie to me.
All right, pretty deep into T-Rock at this point. It sucks making this play, but fortunately on Glan's side, there's not really anything else except, you know, Catfish that he has to worry about. Fantallis doesn't have to worry about that. He has to be thinking what was on. Oh, well, forget that. There's the hook shot.
And I don't blame Glan for that at all. Darn stupid hook shot. Where were you when I needed you like 5 dungeons ago before the first Argus? And now there's been 3 of you.
So an hour and 25 minutes in, we have 3 dungeons complete. You know, 2 of them being blocked by that hook shot. And we're still not even in go mode. We still need the flute to get over to Meyer.
Yeah, we still need that flute, so I guess on the bright side, Misery Mire is going to be a go mode guaranteed now.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully Big Key isn't in too bad of a spot, but if they know their Misery Mire key logic, it shouldn't be too hard. And it's true. You know, any one of those Argus spawn, I really don't know what you call them at this point, but you know, they could also have that flute. I haven't been checking item counts for those dungeons, unfortunately. I don't know just yet what has more stuff.
I mean, I think we should just start giving nicknames to all the Argus, depending on what dungeon they're in.
So, Coldgus and Ice Palace, Helmgus over in Palace of Darkness.
Well, I saw a good one in chat. I saw a good one in chat for Ice Palace. I'm going to steal this, and if you're in chat and you hear this, you totally get credit. Just say something. You said Burgess.
Oh my goodness.
I love that one. Can we just
bring him into Discord for these puns? So Glan, actually making the play over to, looks like I want to say Hookshot Cave?
Yeah.
Before he goes into these other dungeons.
Yeah, kind of the last time you're going to check Death Mountain, because the only time you're coming up here after this is when you're going to clear Ganon's Tower.
All right, so it looks like Argus Miser is also extended to chat because, you know, everyone watching this race are just versions of Argus. Did Bew just turn into a bow?
That sure looked like a bow to me.
That might be one of the most incredible things I've ever seen in sprites.
Alright, Hookshot Cave not holding anything. So, behind one of the many Arguses, or potentially in Swamp Palace, we're hiding a flute somewhere. And we have plenty of potential for more Argus, because, you know, we got 3 potential bosses if we have to see the Ice Armos. Or what should be the Ice Armos, but it's going to be Argus on Ice.
Yeah, I've been meaning to see that new, you know, spin-off of Disney on Ice, or Argus on Ice.
Once you see it, you'll never want to watch anything else.
So hopefully you have the hook shot, because you're not going to get much out of it if you don't have that with you. Ooh, Fantastic, gotta be a little careful. Those rollers do a lot of damage still, even with that blue mail.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and Glan left early, but he more than likely, I he's been item counting at this point, knows there's been all 5 dungeon items. He's checked the pedestal, so he knows that there's nothing important on the pedestal, so he has no need for that pendant.
Alright, definitely there had to be a hint because Glan just walked straight past that big chest. I just don't remember seeing that. So I'll have to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a hint for that either. Yep, fantallis also figuring out that's all the items. I'm out of here.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is not inverted mode. He cannot jump down, so if he wants to go over to Hookshot Cave, he can actually go over here. I totally forgot about that. Good kind of game knowledge on fantallis side.
Yeah, unfortunately, no, there's nothing valuable here. Oh, we've got some powder. You know what,
yeah, that's definitely gonna be after Ice Palace.
You know, at this point, I almost want them to find the bug net just because we can have all the items selected at that point.
All right, here it is, the moment of truth. It's Argus! Who would have known?
Who would have guessed?
That is 4 Argus so far in the seed, and there could be more in Ganon's Tower.
The one Argus to rule them all. See, it had to be here because this is the Argus that has spawned all other Arguses. Argai, whatever we're calling plural Argus.
I mean, I think once you kill this Argus, that should just be the end of the race. Like, who cares about Ganon at this point? Argus is clearly the one taking over Hyrule.
You get to the end, you're like, Ganon's just like, why are you coming after me? It's like, it's been Argus all along. I've just kind of been here.
I'm not gonna lie, going into this, standard Randomizer, I didn't think it was gonna be terribly exciting because, really the enjoyment from Randomizer is just the ridiculous, enemies that can show up. But with the amount of Arguses, it's definitely, playing up to, what people expect from this mode.
Yeah, I will not complain. I will not complain whatsoever about just the boss shuffle. It's been extremely fun to just see all the Argus. Blue rupee and a piece of heart. We got 11 hearts now. So, flute. That flute. Alright, Glan heading back into the Palace of Darkness to fight one of the other Argus. We need the nickname for this one, I believe.
Well, we are technically in the Dark Palace, and so Dargus.
Yeah, Dargus. Yeah, we'll go with that. So Glan going after Dargus.
Having a little bit of trouble with that mimic, though. We kind of have to. It's usually a good idea to just go ahead and stand still, getting those 2 shots into the red one instead of moving side to side to kill the green ones right after. So we may see a dual Argus fight.
Who would have thought this was possible?
I think fantallis is actually gonna kill him before Glan does get into his, gets those quick kills with the temper sword, as well as the hook shot, and then he's got the fire rod out for the quick kill as well. Oh, misses that spin, unfortunately, but not too much time lost because of that.
I mean, for just a second there were 2 Argus on the screen at the same time, so. Nope, Phantom Black Ice, we are still looking for a flute. There are not many locations left, but that's all we're looking for now is that flute.
Yeah, unfortunately, these locations that are left, they're not really bad ones you have to go to. Fantallis is going to go ahead and chain the bomb into either Palace of Darkness or Ice Palace. And then whatever one he doesn't do after, I'll just go straight there. We'll see what Glan decides to do at this point. Well, no, he's going to go into Ice Palace as well, but what Fant decides to do after this bomb will be kind of telling.
I wonder if one of them will decide to check powder and, potentially go to Scope Woods. Or wait, do we know if Green Pendant is worthless? I don't believe so.
I want to say no, but apparently we missed a hint regarding the whatever was in the swamp big chest. So I don't think we've gotten a hint about it. So it's entirely possible. Surprised that Glan actually decided to run all the way back from Palace of Darkness. He could have gone for that. Oh, he's going up to Catfish. He did not check that earlier, which we know is just 10 arrows.
Yep, that's true. So yeah, the main difference, I mean, the time you see between the 2 runners right now, that is really the difference in the race.
So Glan, not going to find anything from Catgis, or if I don't know. I tried thinking about if that rolls off the tongue well. I'm not entirely sure it does, but regardless, he's not going to find anything up here. But he'll be heading over to Ice Palace very soon. Just like it looks like fantallis is going to be doing the same thing as well. I think this is actually a much better play because if you find that flute over here in Ice Palace, it's a little bit quicker to get to Ice Palace from that starting location. You can just flute over to Palace of Darkness, much later on.
And I think Glan might have wanted to have Argus show up after the Catfish dropped 10 arrows just to take the Catfish out. But Fantallis heading into Ice Palace, going to the basement to fight Burgess.
And then Glan looks like he's most likely going into Skull Woods. He's gonna fight Mothulus. I don't even know how to pronounce that one. No, he's actually gonna turn in the go to Batgis first.
I'm trying to think of something good. We got Swargus. I was going to go with Spikegus just because of all the spikes, but... Ooh, I do like some of those Mothagoose. I'm liking those.
All right, so it looks like Powdergus gonna give us the Flutegus, which is gonna get us over to Meyergus to kill Vitrigus.
Nah, I've seen some ones in chat for if we see an Argus at Misery Mire, which you know we will. Argu.
But still really good to find because, you know, fluting over to Ice Palace is going to be really just convenient, cutting down that overworld travel. So at this point, we do have Glan in go mode after a pretty, you know, tedious seed. There's that hookshot eluding us for so long, and the number of Argus bosses showing up in this Bossimizer. You know, you go into this, you know, standard mode, you know, defeat Glan and thinking, you know, it's probably going to be a pretty quick seed, but most likely it's going to be around 2 hours.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. They cleared all dungeons. It's going to look at this point. They cleared all dungeons faster than they're going to clear defeat Ganon. All because of that hook shot and the many Argus. But Fantallis dropping down to fight Burgess. I mean, on the bright side, yeah, really nice fight. I guess on the bright side, they are definitely getting their practice in on how to quick kill Argus with the fire rod.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool tech when it comes to Argus. You know, you can't see a lot of it just because, you know, most of these rooms are kind of unique. But like for the main fight, you know, doing the poke dash for phase 1 and then the double fire rod into the spin for phase 2. A lot of cool things they can show off. So at least I know for the future, you know, at the start of any kind of Randomizer seed, I'm going to start doing the Argus guessing game instead of the big key guessing game, because it would pay off so well for this. That's way better to do than figuring out where the big key is and getting sour.
I was going to say, I know we've seen most of the bosses, but we've still potentially got 4 possible bosses that we have to look at. I was going to say, chat, you know, I know we normally play the big key guessing game, and we'll still play the big key guessing game. But I think the real guessing game of the seed needs to be, how many Argus do you think we're going to have at the end of the seed?
Yeah, we have 1 through 4 left, so you know, throwing those guesses in chat, you're not going to win anything, but definitely you're going to make history as part of this ridiculous setup that our runners have had to gone through.
The first ever guess how many Argus you have to fight.
Glan finding that big key kind of in a nice location. Doesn't have to go through that that cutscene chest. Go straight up to this portal, which will take him over to the entrance to the basement of Misery Mire. Meanwhile, Fant also making that play over to Powder, gonna get his flute. And then unfortunately, at this point, you know, he still has Palace of Darkness to finish, Misery Mire, which Glan is making real fast work through. So, you know, we have a pretty clear difference in time between both our runners at this point.
Well, Glan still has to finish Ice Palace himself, though, as well. So, not a huge difference between the 2 runners, because, you know, Palace of Darkness, he just has to, I mean, it's been cleared. Just need to clear out the, you know, Argus, of course.
You're right. I totally forgot about that. So definitely a lot closer than I expected. Glan missing these shots on the anti-fairies, but does get one to activate that spooky glitch. Alright, here we go. Please, just please be Argus. No! Oh my god. Armos Knights, get out of here.
No. They didn't get the memo. Get out of here. We want Argu.
Unfortunately, he's not able to go to the back because that area does still damage him, despite it not being vitreous. But nonetheless, still gets that quick kill, and will be picking up his 6th crystal.
I do appreciate. What if, you know, the Armos Knights are just like possessed knights, right?
Pretty much, right? Yeah, they're just statues that got possessed.
What if those are the ghosts of all the Argus and Argai? So it's still another Argus.
You know, that is some real deep Zelda lore. I think we should start looking into that more. And then, what if... Okay, so what if, like, Cold Stare is, like, the father of all the Argus? You know, he's got, like, the bigger eyeballs and stuff, and Argai are, like, his spawn. And the last... You know, one of the bosses in Ganon's Tower ends up being that Cold Stare to take revenge for, you know, us defeating all his offspring.
That would be extremely fun to see. We'll find out. Could Father Cold Stare be waiting at the end of the seed?
You know, the funny thing, though, about if we actually find Argus in Ganon's Tower, we don't actually have to kill Argus at all. All we have to do are kill the Argai in order to unlock, you know, the door to the next area.
That's true, so one of them would live.
At this point, I'd probably just kill the Argus, just because, you know, it's kind of the theme of this seed.
I wouldn't actually be surprised just to see them kill it just because of their, you know, love of Argus, seeing it so often. How many times you couldn't kill it just to get that good one?
All right, so both our runners just, you know, finally, you know, being in go mode, you know, quickly making their way through the dungeon as fast as they can. Fantallis still has Palace of Darkness as well as Misery Mire to finish before he has all his crystals, but Glan is going to be entering his final fight. Maybe not the final Argus fight, but his final crystal fight, you know, right now, and he'll be heading up to Ganon's Tower very shortly.
Yep, Glan drops down to fight Burgess.
And with those 2 quick fire rod shots as well as that spin, that Burgess is going down, picking up the small key, but more importantly, picking up that 7th crystal, meaning that Glan is going to be making his way up to Ganon's Tower, and I believe you know what that means.
I know. Yeah, I know. We played the most important guessing game earlier, Guess the Argus, but it is time for the big key guessing game of Ganon's Tower. So, got the game started. Go ahead and get your guesses in 1 through 22. Where do you think that big key is going to be? What is your guess today, JTB?
I usually always go with 7. I like to see that big key show up over in that Stalfos room, but it's not very often. What about yourself?
Let's see. So I'm hoping they can go right side, and then I'm not going to pick a specific number. I just want to see 19 through 21 so we can see Argus on ice.
Oh, that is true. Okay, I revise, my guess, at least for comms. I'll keep 7 in chat, but I would love to see that 19 through 21 just to go down to the Ice Armos room and see another Argus there.
I mean, 19 through 21 if we got to go right side. If not, what does it end up being then? Like 15? No. 13 and 13 through 15?
I don't know. I'm definitely not that great at numbers when it comes to that, so I usually let chat tell me what chest it falls in before I say the official number. Quality commentator right here, guys.
Okay, we are getting some knowledge from chat that it is 15 through 17 if they don't go right side first, but grab the 2 chests.
Oh, fantallis. You still have a crystal.
Oh no! I mean, I don't blame him. There's been so many Argus. I think I've killed them all.
But there's still one more Argus.
You thought you killed them all, but I was still here. Alright, chest 1 those, 5 rupees, and we've got a key, so we are going right side.
Oh no. Now he's just like, oh crap.
He looks at his menu, it's like, oh.
That's the worst feeling. I've fallen for that before, and it just doesn't feel good at all because you got all the way to the Helmosaur room, and at that point you're like, all right, the dungeon is finished. But nope, it was another Argus.
If you thought you could enter Ganon's tower, but it was me, Argus, waiting all along. Alright, chest 3 though, we've got some bombs. 4 is the map. 5 is 20 rupees. 6 is 20 rupees, so we're going to the left side. The dream continues.
Alright, I'm hoping for Bob's Torch just to get that 7 in, but I'm still would not mind seeing that Ice Armos dip.
Secretly, you want to see the Ice Armos. Well, 7 was a key.
Just not the correct one.
Rip Bob. Alright, but that is 8 is a small key, 9 is the 5 rupees. We got the bug net in 10. And at 11 is 20 rupees. We continue. The dream is still alive.
Meanwhile, fantallis making that kind of walk of shame all the way back to Palace of Darkness once he realizes he didn't have that 7th crystal. It's too bad. Like, this could have been a real close race. It could still be, we never know what will happen, on the ascent, but nonetheless, having to take all that time going up to a Death Mountain and then having to go, back down and come up again does add a lot of time, unfortunately.
Yeah, it does. But we had chest 12 there, nothing important. Glan trying to get some swag with the boomerang.
Come on, Glenn. Okay, good. I was about to say, just pull out the Cane of Samaria at that point. You miss it once. It looks cool, but at this point, with how hard it was to find that hook shot, I'd be really worried about seeing that dot done in the IRC channel.
Well, that would be chest number 13. We've got bombs. The dream continues. Rando room is next. We got 4 chests, so this is the best chance to end the dream.
Oh my
no
god.
Big key.
We have a 25% chance of
Well, I mean
that
it's actually well, yeah, 25%. Well, no, 20 because tile room is still a thing. So.
Oh, true. So we
Which
have,
I'm
the odds
okay
are definitely...
with. Oh yeah, we the odds are with us, chat.
Come on, Bob's chest, just please stay just trash. We have to see what's on Ice Armos. Just think of the stream value. Glan, why you do that? At this point, we don't even care about the big key. We just want to see what's on the bottom.
All right, here it is. Chest 17.
Oh, heck
It's not.
yes.
Wait, that was 18. So 19, 20, and 21, we get to see the boss. The dream lives. Oh.
The dream is dead. Get out of here, Moth.
That's Moth. No, we've had 3. No, I understand there's been 2 of you, but the seed isn't about you. It's about Argus.
We still have 2 more locations, though, that Argus can show up, so I'm just hoping for at least 1.
All right, 19, 20, and it's a tile room.
Oh my god, if fantallis makes that play straight to tile room, you know, after that big mistake, we have a real race.
Yeah, we actually do. This will be incredibly close if that happens.
Oh, okay, everyone just kind of send your telepathic messages to fantallis 20 minutes in the past. Because I know if I was probably, you know, that far behind, if I thought I was that far behind, I'd be making this gamble.
Oh yeah, I would do too myself. You know, especially the, you know, going up to Death Mountain, checking it, but you know, he's actually gonna just grab the key and go left side.
Well, hopefully, you know, I still hope that he goes back. Maybe he just grabs the key, all the stuff in Selfish room, and then goes right side, including tile room. But more than likely, he's not gonna make that play.
Yep, and Glan just kind of has to sit there for a little.
Was that like the King of Hyrule from the CDI games?
Yep, because Glan is playing the CDI link, so yes.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Link, my boy.
Congrats to Spicy Meatball 17. You're the hero of this chat, allowing us to see, you know, what was going to be on Ice Armos.
That darn Mothula.
Oh, he's got to be a little careful. I know he has potions. But as long as he doesn't get hit in this room, I imagine he'll probably stop in that safety room and pick up the 2 extra fairies.
Yep, I imagine as well.
Oh, he's not. Yeah, he's really toying with my heartstrings right now. I would have definitely used the potion before entering that room, but... Oh, he's got to be careful.
Oh, no!
He got so many potions, just use them. Man, I just think if fantallis had gone straight to pod and up to GT, this would be extremely close right now.
Yeah, this would be incredibly close, and you've got to imagine he's extremely concerned now.
Oh, and chat pointing out he doesn't have enough arrows.
No, he doesn't. He's not gonna be able to get through this room.
Oh my god, unfortunately we have a real race, but oh my goodness,
Yeah.
Glan has to exit and shovel for some arrows.
Yep. Time to pull the shovel out and dig.
Well, hold on to your seats, everyone. We have a race because Fant is going to go ahead and finish this. No, you need more arrow. Wait, no. Okay, you only need 5 for the first room because you get 5 in the second room.
Yeah, the only thing is, are there more arrow pickups on the way past that first pickup in the second red mimic room?
True. What if we get another Armos fight on the way up? Because you don't want to have to wait and do that temper sword Armos.
Well, not even if it's another Armos fight, he won't have another chance to get arrows at that point. If he doesn't know about it until Ganon, he won't have enough silver arrows. He'll have to do spin strats.
Oh, that's gonna be rough.
Okay, so chat's saying there are more.
Right, there is the room after Landmoles. Oh my goodness, he is just playing so risky with like 3 different potions.
These BMOs are like, no, we want this to be a good... Oh, he gets a 10 arrow drop. But Fantallis does skip Tile Room, so he's going to be coming back. But yeah, we end up seeing... But yeah, we end up seeing, like you said, an Armos fight or something like that. He does not have the arrows for that fight right now. So he will have to slash with the Tempered Sword.
Yeah, playing it a little bit more safe now, just walking through instead. I'm gonna go ahead and go to that safety room. You know, good choice. Personally, you know, I would just be using those potions because whatever, it's Ganon. Ganon's super easy to do. But I don't know, Glan just kind of doesn't want to, just wants to hold on to him as much as he can.
Alright, but Glan enters the gauntlet at about it was 2:02:30, I think, on the dot. So we'll see how far behind Fantallis is.
He's getting all these easy arrow drops too, so, and now he's at 21, so I'm not too worried about Armos anymore. But I don't know, just kind of with the execution that he was doing, you know, kind of, I still think it's anyone's game.
Yeah, and I think, you know, part of it might be nerves, because, you know, at this point, 2 hours into the seed, that's more than likely kind of that point. Even with the seed, you're waiting for that dot done to happen. You know it's coming soon. You don't know how far ahead you are, if you are ahead, or if, you know, they're sitting there fighting Ganon as you're speaking. Oh, another Helmasaur.
I know, this is not what we're trying to see. Come on.
Well, maybe he's just hiding behind the mask again, right?
He has to be a little careful though. You know, he's 6 hearts. Blue Tunic it's not really a great position to be in, and he got this Medusa head just shooting those fireballs constantly at him.
Yeah, and they do a hard each time they hit. Oh, so that's interesting. I didn't know that. So on the King Helmasaur fight, once you take his mask off, it stops the Medusa shooter. Yeah, and unfortunately, Fantallis got wall mastered in the tile room, so he had to go through it again.
Come on, just... Oh man, it's so scary. I would have probably just taken a hit from that final tile to make sure, you know, I'm not running around in bunny uniform. But Fantallis entering his ascent at 2:04:45. About 2-minute difference between both our runners.
Alright, chat. Glan's a few rooms away. This seed needs your energy. We need to see more Argus.
Yeah, we need one more Argus to close out this race. Get those eye emotes in chat. You know, maybe that will summon him. Oh, get out of here, dude. No one likes you, Art.
Moth is trying to steal the spotlight because that's for Mothulus too.
What a jabroni, honestly. We got this. What is going on with this platform? Man, this game is great. What, this game is 28 years old, 27 years old?
Yeah, I think 27. It just got its 27th anniversary. I believe on the 11th.
And look, and then we got almost 1,000 people here hoping to see Argus and Ganon's Tower. It's just pretty crazy just how much this game has held up over the years.
27 years ago on Thanksgiving, would you have guessed you'd be sitting here watching Link to the Past Randomizer, wishing for Argus?
I know, right? I mean, I was probably still working on my first playthrough at that point, just trying to figure out why am I not doing any damage again. But nonetheless, Glan finishes his Aghanim 2 fight. He's going to be heading into what I hope is another Argus, but we all know it's going to be Ganon.
We got to get some roast pig.
Oh, and then Ganon throwing some shade over at Argus is incompetent fools. I mean, I would have to digress there. Argus did a really good job at, fooling our runners throughout this race. So sorry, Ganon. I'm gonna have to. That's a hard disagree for me.
See, you know what I think actually happened is he wasn't actually referring to Argus. He was referring to that silly Mothula that kept showing up. It was supposed to be Argus.
Yeah, it's true. If it was all Argus everywhere, this, I don't even think this is a completed seed. I think this is like Kaizo Link to the Past at that point.
I mean, yeah, Argus definitely did his job. He guarded those items good. Just Moth was just like, ha, I'm stealing the spotlight. And Ganon's like, no, you can die too easy. It's like, I don't care. Sure did.
Ooh, Glan, you gotta be careful. Just please burn that potion.
It should be a triple here. Nope.
But that's gonna be a... Oh no! Does he have... Okay, he still has arrows, okay. Glan just toying with our hearts right now.
Yeah, and fantallis almost has finished Mothula. I think one more swipe of the sword's gonna do it. Yep, there he goes, but Glan takes down Ganon. Will also win game number 2. Yeah, shoutouts to Glan on... actually, I'll just say shoutouts to both runners on a really kind of interesting item and boss placement. Randomizer seed. Being able to complete it as best as they can. But yeah, that is Glan taking first place with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 9 minutes, and 12 seconds. Congrats to him. Yep, and we'll see if we can get them both in here for an interview. We'll probably wait for fantallis to actually finish off since he's only a couple minutes away himself. Just having to finish off Aga 2 and Ganon, that way we can get them both in here and ask them how they feel about Argus.
Yeah, I think we just ask them about Argus and we just close the interview after that. So fantallis entering his, unfortunately not Argus fight. Should make pretty quick work on it as well. Again, still throwing that shade over at Mothula.
And Mothula deserved it completely.
Yeah, I mean, come on, Mothula at Moldorm 2, that's like, after everything you've been through in the sea, that is the biggest joke. And what's he gonna do? He's not gonna knock you off.
Alright, but fantallis quickly through phase 2 on a phase 3. And done with phase 3. Just need the 4 silver arrows in again and to cook him for good.
Surprised fantallis pulled out that lamp there. You know, I guess it's pretty easy to forget that you have the silvers. Just because, you know, it's hard mode, you don't see the silvers at all until now. But nonetheless, fantallis putting that final silver arrow into Ganon. He'll be finishing up his part of the race with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 12 minutes, and 4 seconds. Good game to him as well.
Yep, get your GGs in chat for fantallis, and looks like we have them both in the ready room. I can't wait for this first question.
Yeah, just brace yourself, everyone.
All right, so we are joined by fantallis and Glan. GG.
Hey, GG.
GG.
So, first question, I know everybody wants to know this. So how do you like Argus now?
It's alright.
All right, interview's done. That's all we need to know. Good game. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
One of the bad things. It's like, I mean, that was pretty prominent, but there were a few things going on in there. It felt really good at the start, and then it was the hour-long hunt for the hook shot and the feed.
It's a pretty typical scene for me.
Yeah, we did see kind of a little bit of a divergence at the start, which, you know, made Glan to show up with a little bit of a lead. You know, him going into Skull Woods immediately, and eventually, you know, going over to get that book. Whereas you fantallis kind of took that southern route through Thieves Town over to Hype Cave. So there was, you know, a little bit of a question, you know, who is, you know, further ahead at that point, and then it just turned into, where the hell is that hookshot going to show up with all these Arguses showing up?
Yeah, for sure. And like, you're gonna basically hundo before going down the required path there.
Yeah.
There's not really any way around that.
No, there was a point where I was just hoping that it wasn't gonna be the thing to do. I don't know. I hate going into Swamp Palace without the hook shot. That's like one of the top least favorite things for me to do, and I will avoid it at all costs, even if that means like routing in some really terrible orphan things that I left earlier on.
Yeah, that was kind of another difference too. Glan seemed to be kind of taking off those one-off locations, you know, as opposed to you, fantallis, kind of following the logic a little bit more closely. You know, it would have been really cool to see kind of how that played out, but, you know, like I said, it just turned into that, you know, hour-long hunt for that hook shot. which, you know, we couldn't even get to Turtle Rock until, you know, diving into that hookshotless swamp palace. So pretty unfair placement. And then, you know, obviously the boss placements didn't really help at all because you had to do all that double dipping just to get that crystal when you already knew there was nothing in any of those dungeons.
Yeah, well, the pod Argus had an item, but ice one didn't. I don't know if the Skull Woods one did. I kind of forgot.
Ice was nothing. I never finished Skull. Yeah, most of the Arguses, I think all the Arguses were just garbage. They were just roadblocks for crystals.
Pretty much.
So I have to ask, you know, what kind of made you choose a standard Randomizer as opposed to like open instead? Did you know about just it being essentially a boss shuffle beforehand, or were you aware? Is that like a strength of yours, maybe?
See, you'll see. I don't know. Like I did a couple of stupid things in this one, and I took a couple of, I guess, risks just because, you know, leaving places early and, you know, not finishing up Turtle Rock and stuff like that. But I sort of try to favor, because I'm not an execution powerhouse. So I try to favor like doing, I'm not going to say intelligent routing, but what I think is good routing and just trying to figure that out. So not doing all dungeons and not doing complete Randomizer and, you know, doing hard mode just to sort of make things a tiny bit more difficult. I don't know. That's usually when you do this, usually when you do the chaos boss shuffle, things get easier. It's not, it doesn't turn out like this.
I mean, there were a few moths in places, and that's always what you want to see from boss shuffle.
Yeah, you don't want to see.
It's the easiest. It's one of the easiest bosses, honestly.
Oh yeah, every single time Moth showed up, it was in the easiest possible place.
Yeah, Moth and Landmo is mainly what you want to see. Blind's not too bad.
Yeah, it just the Mothula, the abundance of the Mothula, you know, showing up. It's kind of a nice relief from, you know, finding like a Trinex or like a Helmasaur King in a really kind of really small room, or even on like Moldorm too. So I'm sure it was definitely a relief to see those.
I actually like Helmasaur. Kind of like seeing him around. But that's just kind of weird.
So you did take, you know, that death, you know, on the ascent to against Tower Glan. You had all those potions. Was that like, were you really just trying to hold on to them as much as you can, or was it just you got them so early you forgot that you had them?
I just figured I could make it to the fairy room, and that is not the first time the cape ran out just at exactly the wrong time. It just happens to me so often, I don't even know why I bother trying.
Yeah, hard mode is it just disappears right away. It's really scary just seeing how much it ticks down, or how fast it ticks down. But nonetheless, you know, you closed out this game, you know, and I believe you won the previous game too. I think Sterling-Kalot had some questions regarding that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you two remember it, because I know after this seed, that first seed might have just kind of completely escaped your minds. But as far as like the first seed, how did you both feel about the first seed?
I think I played it pretty well, other than dying the cold stare. That was like I just released B, like just very slightly too late, and he ran into me. But other than that, I think I did it well.
I mean, at this point, everything is kind of blending together, but
yeah,
I do remember it being kind of, I don't know, I'll say, sort of the inverted portion of it was pretty free. I mean, you kind of got a free hammer, and then you got a free moon pearl, and then you got out of there for free. So
yeah, and the sword was free too.
Yeah, it was not that bad.
Yeah.
Getting a sword just before, like, and honestly, getting the 3 bombs in Link's house, and then you just got a ton of money, and then you found a sword in Village of Outcasts, making it super easy to clean up blind. It was just, it's not normally that nice at the start of an inverted seed.
Yeah, it's always kind of frightening, thinking about, do I have to do, Kina Samaria, hammer blind at like 3 hearts. I missed the first part of that race, but, like I said, getting those bombs right away and then finding that first sword kind of alleviates a lot of the hurdles you have to overcome in inverted mode. But, 4 hours of rando. That's quite a lot. I have to definitely commend the two of you for, doing that back to back, because it just wears down on you. And then especially with what happened in this last seed, congrats to just getting through it instead of just throwing in the towel and saying, hey, can we just do this another time?
Yeah, I was really worn down by the end of it going into GT, which is why I was making all those mistakes with mimics and stuff, and then I forgot to check my arrow count. I just wanted to finish.
Yeah, we got a little worried. Like, we were hoping that Ice Armos would not show up, and then it's just Gauntlet just filled up your arrow count completely, kind of compensating for having to go out and back in. So yeah, it's 4 hours into a rando. It's quite easy to just kind of lose a little bit of that execution and just be more like, I just want to finish this up and be done.
Yeah.
So this game 1 and 2 finished. Do you have game 3 already planned, or is that kind of in the works?
No, we haven't planned it yet.
Yeah, we're just trying to get through these, I guess.
Should we expect an Randomizer veto?
No, actually, like, I don't mind Randomizer at all. This was particularly terrible, but usually I think it's pretty fine. Like, the stuff that I don't like is, maybe I shouldn't even say something. I've already said it in the, blacksmith group chat, but, I don't particularly like all dungeons, and I don't particularly like retro, so.
Yeah, it's okay. Nobody likes retro. So.
I don't mind retro.
And yet I've had to do it.
But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like you said, you're more of a kind of reading the logic. I'm sure a lot of us has read your guide and the resources about kind of figuring out where items are at. So you gotta play to your advantages.
Yeah, I think these were good settings for that to pick, because the boss shuffle adds an extra amount of swing to routing differences.
Yeah. You can really, like, as soon as the first time you have to leave a dungeon, because, normally when you're doing the regular old open mode, nothing fancy, you always know when you enter a dungeon whether or not you can complete it. For the most part, anyway. Sometimes you're like, oh, what if the bow is in Eastern? But for the most part, you don't go to a dungeon unless you know you can finish it. And with Chaos Shuffle, like the first time that you have to hop out of a dungeon because you figure out you don't have the right equipment for the boss, it just completely, everything that you know about doing sort of open or standard routing just sort of goes out the window. And you're like, oh no, I have to come back here. How am I going to do that?
Yeah, it's brutal.
And then when it happens, 3 times, just like, oh dear.
Yeah, at that point, you're just kind of rolling the dice and just hoping, just beat any boss besides Argus, the one that I just can't complete, because yeah, it was just kind of rough having everything all together like that. Hookshot being so far into T-Rock, and then just so many Arguses showing up as opposed to literally any other boss. Yeah. But
well, I also got that Trinex that I had most of the correct equipment for, but you can't do fighter sword spins on Trinex with one bobble. It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I had to bail out of that as well.
Yeah, it was a kind of a rough thing to see too, because I know that's kind of where Glan's early routing kind of helped a lot, finding the hammer over in Agina because the book over in Bumper Ledge. So it's always rough, having to double dip just for a boss. But I think that's all I have. Do you guys have any closing thoughts or any last questions, Link-A-Lot?
The only other question I had was about the first seed for Fantallis. Your routing on Death Mountain, how you skipped over the Hookshot Cave. Was that just kind of you spaced it out, or that was kind of a planned thing?
No. I don't know. Like, it's hard to remember at this point, but I think at that point I just had other stuff that I was hoping. I don't know. I feel like tonight that I took a lot of weird risks, and some of them went okay, and a bunch of them didn't. It probably wasn't overall a great idea. Probably should have just played it straight. But I wound up, like, a lot of the time, I feel like I ended up making a beeline for places that I was more hoping would have something over sort of hanging out and full clearing a whole area. Which is not a good way to play. Don't do that. It's silly.
Well, once again, just good game to both of you for playing on this very exciting. Well, I can't say anything about the first race, but the second race, like, chat was having an absolute blast with the amount of Arguses showing up. So if you do end up watching that back, definitely, it's definitely entertaining. But yeah, that will be it for us tonight. Unfortunately, no other randomizer races happening, but we will be starting bright and early tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. with a open randomized sword hard mode key sanity between Jakaris and Elminster over at Speed Gaming 2, and then obviously plenty more rando happening throughout the day. I'm gonna give a shout out to Mind of Me for being our tracker. I believe did he track both the races tonight?
No, he tracked race number 2. Our first tracker was, I want to say it was Falcon, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. Well, shouts to both of them for tracking, and then more so for you, doing 4 hours of Link to the Past commentary. It is quite a thing to accomplish, so and also to Phantom Fox for coming in for game 1. So it's been a real pleasure, Sterling a lot.
Yeah, both seeds were incredibly fun to watch and commentate on, especially the second one. I do have to give a special shout out to chat. JTB kind of mentioned it. Chat was enjoying seed number 2 extremely. They were having a lot of fun with the Argus. So if you do watch the restream, definitely pay attention to the chat. I have to give a special shout out to chat because I was laughing. When I wasn't speaking, I was usually laughing my butt off at that time. So thank you, chat.
Yeah, of course, for everyone behind the scenes for putting on this tournament, as both the participant and as well as a volunteer, a lot of work goes into being able to do this, pretty much all hours of the day. And like I said, yeah, many more rando races come up. We have a couple weeks left in the group stage, and then we'll be moving on to the bracket. So if you're looking for more randomizer, definitely just keep an eye out through the next couple of weeks. But with that, once again, good games to both of you. Congrats to Glan for those 2 wins, and look forward to seeing your game 3.
Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it as well.
Yeah, thanks for coming, you two.
All right, with that, have a wonderful rest of your night, everyone, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.